Hi, I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
This is Two Guys, One Car.
Welcome to our car.
Dude, it starts with Two Guys, One Car. That's the name. It should start
It's
with
welcome
the
to our car.
name. No, but it has to start with Two Guys, One Car because that's the name of the thing.
Just get in the back seat.
Ride along with us.
Welcome back to Two Guys, One Car, a podcast showcasing individuals who live rather than just exist. I'm one half of the duo, Kyle, and in today's episode, we'll be chatting with wooden surfboard producer and engineer Emile Theau of Sine Surf. So how'd we come across Emile? Josh had come across Emile's business, Sine Surf, on Instagram after noticing a friend's modelling work he'd done for them. Both of us don't surf ourselves, but we found such interest in the unique product and brand that Sine Surf is putting out into the world. So we reached out and here we are. Across the conversation, we discussed Sine Surf's inception and its origins, the foundations of the company's mission, logistics in relation to actually creating a wooden surfboard, the partnership between Emile and his co-founder Alastair, among so much more. Emile is a real product of his interests. After studying engineering at university, he wanted to use his skills to create something of his own, which actually coincided with the growing passion for surfing at the time. What strikes me about Emile is that whether he is conscious to it or not, he has combined his passion with his talents, resulting in a sustainable business idea that has the room to evolve and grow over time as he does throughout his lifetime. Personally, I think that's a great formula for what we humans call success. But before we get started, I want to remind you, if you're listening, follow or subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you use. It really helps us to seek out more people like Emile, who are defying the culture of dream and desire suppression by taking chances on what actually brings them fulfillment. We greatly appreciate your support, of course. And now, without further ado, let's dive into today's episode.
Bro, so you went from engineering to making surfboards.
Yeah.
Talk us through that.
What the hell?
Yeah, so go into how I started the business. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It was around COVID pandemic times, and there wasn't much to do. You're spending lots of days inside, and I'd just been thinking about maybe starting a business of some sort, and it had been kind of creeping up on me for a year, the idea of doing something like that. I guess just listening to people talk about businesses, and I was pretty into podcasts on how people build their businesses and all this, and found it really interesting and found the journey pretty interesting. So yeah, I was in that period of my life, and I just didn't really know what to actually do with what kind of business to start or what to do, and I thought something in the environmental space, but wasn't entirely sure. Anyway, so it was around the same time that I was getting pretty seriously into surfing, and then I bought this brand new surfboard from the surf shop and took it down to the surf, and then very first day that I took it out, it got creased, and a creased board is like a completely stuffed board. If you want to repair it, it's going to cost $300-$400. So I took it back to the surf shop, and I was like, guys, there's clearly a manufacturing error. It wasn't even big surf. It just creased on the first surf, and then the guy's like, no, it happens all the time. And then he took me out back and showed me his graveyard of broken surfboards.
Wow.
Like hundreds of boards. Yeah.
His graveyard. That environmental mindset, was that just oh, this is not good? What were your feelings when you saw that pile?
I was kind of just whoa, they break pretty often. That was my feeling when I was, I thought people made things to last a lot, but I guess with surfboards there's the contradiction that they need to make them really light so that they're very buoyant and very high performing, but if you make them really light, then you're essentially just taking a lot of strength out. So, and then also, manufacturers don't mind it because the more boards that break, so long as they're a good board, people come back to buy more. So,
So you see that, and then is that sort of where the idea started to stem from?
yeah. So it stemmed from there. I guess it came from the background in engineering when I just started to look at how they were made and stuff, and then I looked at all the processes and the materials, and I was like, wow, surfboards entirely made of plastic, and then I got onto wooden surfboards, and I realized that, okay, it looks like these wooden surfboards, they can be made, really, really well to a high performing standard, and they're really durable and all this sort of stuff, but the problem was that it would take people, 30, 40, 50 hours of work just to finish a single board, so I just began thinking about how you could make, you know, wooden surfboards in a more efficient way, and then talked to my uncle who was a designer, and he gave me some tips, and then eventually like came up with a concept that I tested, and then soon onto that journey I met like the guy who's co-founding the business with me, and he's like really big into CNC and machines, so he was like a really big help, and then so we eventually like kept on going down that road, and now we can make boards like pretty much like with as much labor as like a regular surfboard. So
Wow.
So yeah, like everything looks pretty good on paper, and now it's just you know, going through the motions to execute and try to bring a product to market. Yeah.
So how long have you guys actually been like producing the surfboards for?
So we've been like, probably last year was more like fine tuning the actual production process, and you know, there were a couple times during the year last year where we thought, oh, okay, we've finally got it, this is it, and then you know, you have somebody who's been surfing it for a few months and they're like, actually this happened, and the board, you know, failed in this way, and then you're like, okay, well clearly we've got to fix this problem, and then you just come back to the drawing board, and then that happened a couple of times, but now we think we, you know.
So it's been like a lot of R&D, like in terms of like get people to test it. Or was it like you guys, or was it like just mates?
Yeah, like us and mates, and yeah, like anybody who we could hand a board off to, basically. But I think it's like 35 boards that we went through to like prototype.
Whoa.
Wow. Was there any point along that journey where like you were in the hole with money and you thought, is it even worth it?
Yeah. I think like it happens, you know, every now and then. Like you start questioning things because you're putting so much time and stuff into it. But you know, I feel like when people start businesses, a lot of people tell them, oh, it's never going to work. But with us, it was the opposite. Everyone was like, oh, this will definitely work.
Wow.
But you know, it's like still pushing for those sales and stuff.
Because most people, they'll have an idea, and then I mean, it probably just speaks to your environment. Like you just have people around you who are like,
like really positive thinkers and good.
well, not even just positive, more so just like they actually believe in what you're doing. Then they can see your vision at least. Yeah, that's really cool.
When it comes to you, like believing in your product, like if someone's like, why should I buy your board over a plastic or like fiberglass board? Like, what's your response to that?
Yeah, so the first response is like, well, you know, a reason why people haven't really like transitioned to more sustainable boards is because they just don't perform as well. And the first thing we'd say is like, they actually do perform as well. You know, they're the same weight. You know, we've got like incredible shapes. Everybody who's been on one says that they're really great surfboards. And the next thing you say is like, oh, and they even go above and beyond because, you know, instead of lasting, you know, an average of 1 to 2 years, like these surfboards will last you like 10 to 20 years.
Wow.
If you take care of them. So really, you know, you might be paying, you know, like 40% more for your board or 30% more for your board, but you'll get, you know, 10 times as much time and use out of it because you just like easy to repair and you know, like they don't break in a fatal way like foam and fiberglass.
Right. Yeah. So it's not like you're saying it's not just a complete like snap or like anything like that.
Yeah. So like with our newest construction, we've like never had a board snap. Like,
Wow.
So
And when you talk about performance of a board, what are the metrics that measures performance of a board?
So it's more like, you know, how light it is, how well shaped it is, what kind of maneuvers you can do with the board. Because if you're limited in the maneuvers that you want to do, then the best surfers aren't going to surf them because they want to do a certain maneuver and you can't do it on the surfboard, so that'll put them off the board, right?
So you guys are really down the tunnel of like competition based. Like you want your boards to be on like the WSL.
So no, not particularly. So yeah, even though the technology is good in some aspects, it has limitations in others. So there are a specific style of board where the technology isn't very good, specifically like high performance short boards, and that's because the boards don't actually like flex very much. But it means that they're very, very good for a type of board that has like a really flat rocker, and for a type of board that you know, is really long and really like locks into the wave. So it's really good for long boards when you want to nose ride because you know, there's limited flex and you get like an equal and like countable response from what the board's going to do in each maneuver. and then it really suits like fish surfboards, which are quite flat rocker, and mid-lengths as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Has anyone done this before? Well, people have probably done it before, but like, to what extent has someone tried and do what you're to what extent has someone tried and do what you're doing before?
Yeah, so there've been like some backyard like surfboard makers who, and like there are lots of them around the world that do it using the methods, but using wood. But you know, these are using like the old methods that take 30 to 40 hours, and they can make really good boards. But what we're doing, like the magic, is really like taking the same material and using a new approach so that you can make them quicker and more affordable for like all surfers. Yeah.
And who is the mastermind behind figuring out how to make it take the same amount of time as it would another board?
I'd say probably like both of us equally. Yeah, myself and my co-founder, because like the overall like concept was mine, but then he had all of these, you know, like little inputs across the way that probably took down so much time as well, you know. Like,
Cool.
And is it, to make a board that you guys make, what sort of skill does it require? Is it?
yeah, so the majority of the skill actually is required in the fiberglassing of surfboards. It's people don't understand how much skill it actually requires to fiberglass a surfboard, but you're dealing with like, you know, a fabric that you're wetting out with resin, and it creases and folds, and you can get air bubbles trapped inside and all this sort of stuff. So that's probably the biggest technical issue. But yeah, there is of course like a large amount of computer-aided design work and computer manufacturing work, skills that need to be learnt, but I wouldn't say that there is much like hand-based skills as the actual fiberglassing.
And cool. So the timber build of it, is that done through a machine? Is that?
Yeah, so it's majoritively done through a machine. We essentially CNC like a lot of the board out. So CNC is like computer numerical control, and it's like a drill bit that spins and cuts wood, and then it just
it's operated by a computer.
Yeah, operates by a computer, and then it cuts the wood out so that we get the pieces that we want, and then we essentially just assemble the pieces. Okay. And then it's pretty straightforward to get like what you would call the blank of a surfboard, just like the inside without the fiberglass on top.
Yeah. And then when it comes to materials, like how much effort did you put into researching what wood is going to work the best? And
yeah, it was pretty quick to find the right wood actually, because there's like the lightest wood in the world, which is balsa wood, and that's quite often used for surfboards as well. But then there's the second lightest, which is Polonia, and Polonia has like a really good strength to weight ratio. And originally we were trying not to fiberglass the surfboards so that we could make them, you know, more you know, just make the manufacturing easier. But eventually we had to resort to a fiberglassing method. But the wood's still very good in terms that you know, you can get like very high strength from a very small amount of wood.
Is that like, I can imagine that would probably be a high expense, like that type of wood, like if it's the lightest wood. Is that true?
Yeah, so because it's really light, it's really fast to grow. So actually like 6 years is what some plantations take to, you know, grow a tree to a harvestable size, which is like really not much time at all. It's like extremely fast growing. And it's actually like a weed in its endemic ecosystems. Yeah, and in terms of pricing of the timber, it's not actually that expensive because it takes like so little time to grow. So
but there's no other way to put too much monetary value on it. It's like if it takes a long time, it would cost more money. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Or if it takes a long time, you know, oftentimes you can only get it from rainforests and that sort of stuff.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So because it's really fast growing, and a weed, you know, it's very well suited to like plantation.
And then the purpose of the fiberglass, what's that for?
So the fiberglass is essentially just to hold it all together. So, you know, we didn't want to use it because we wanted to make the process as simple as possible, but ended up having to use it because there were just natural defects in the wood that would arise sometimes. And if any of those natural defects, you know, because somebody's actually walking on top of the board, if like they walk on top of a knot in the wood, like you know, 100 times, then it's gonna, like, a crack might propagate and then the whole board's failed. But if you have fiberglass over the top, it kind of distributes the stress and protects the the wood regardless.
That's something I wouldn't think about, but it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Like as in like every surfboard's going to be completely different
Yeah.
because it's all wood from
Yeah,
a tree.
naturally.
Yeah. It's like raw, so it's going to be like completely different. What other materials go into it? Like, is it just the wood and the fiberglass, or like?
Yeah, so it's really simple actually. There's just wood, a bit of glue to hold the wood together, and then fiberglass on the outside. Fiberglass and then resin to wet the fiberglass, and that's pretty much it. Aside from like the small things that go in like into the fin boxes and the leash plug and stuff.
Like you spoke about the labour times taking longer to do it like the traditional way, but why don't you think more people have done it and do it the way you do it? Do you think the way you guys have discovered is just so unique and super outside of the box, people wouldn't have thought of that, or do you think people just don't want to dive into it?
I think the concept isn't like too outside the box, but it's funny because like the rise of like foams and the use of foams in surfboards came before the CNC machine was invented. So people started using foam, and then the CNC machine was invented after. So I don't think that there was like as much stress to apply foam to, wood, which is what they were using before foam. So,
Yeah.
but then, like it's all already been figured out how to make like really high performing surfboards out of foam, and 30 years ago the sustainability issue wasn't really much of a problem.
So it's just the nature of just like there's now an issue of like sustainability is more prominent, and then you're just there to solve it.
Yeah,
basically.
I think so. Yeah, or at least offer an alternative. You know.
Is that the way you see it? Like, is it something that you would want? Like, do you want like, for you in an ideal world, do you want everyone to be using a wooden surfboard, or do you want just it for it to be an option for people to use?
I don't think it's like the holy grail of like surfboard construction solutions. I think that if you really want to make the industry sustainable, you're going to have to make a biodegradable foam. But like the wooden surfboards are definitely perfect for some shapes and models, and I think a lot of people would prefer them to regular foam and fiberglass boards. Especially when you walk on the deck and you get like pressure dings in your surfboard, because in the wooden ones like it's very firm, so your board will look the same 20 years after you got it. It's the same depth
Yeah,
of
and
water.
you said before that the board will last like 10 to 20 years, provided they keep it like in good shape. What is there any maintenance on the board? Like what does looking after the board look like?
So you only really need to maintain it if it gets any like damage. So I guess that would mean like dings, or if you get a really hard hit and water gets inside, then you can still repair it, but quite easily. So it's just depends on how much damage that the board accumulates. But if no damage accumulates, then the board will never need any repair. So
What do you see, like, obviously now you're in the phase of like you've landed on a design that you're really happy with, and it's like you're going to keep going forward with that. Like, where do you see this being in the next like 5 to 10 years for you?
Yeah, so we'd really like to get to at least 20 boards per week. That's kind of what we think we'll be happy with, at least. So yeah, about 1,000 boards a year, and we think we can do it, and we know we have a great product. It's just about learning how to do all the marketing side of things now, and getting the word out there and convincing people that it is a better buy than the regular.
Which is a weird like, it's interesting because you're obviously passionate about surfing the surfboard, and you're just like, oh, you rate the product, but now it's just like, oh, you need to convince everyone else to rate it. Yeah, like you've spent so much time figuring out the product, but no one cares unless they know about it. So then it's like you trying to actually do that. In what ways are you going to go about doing that?
That's a good question, but I think the environmentally friendly aspect of it is nice. It's like a nice to have, but it's definitely not going to convince somebody so if you're from like a consumer point of view, you're going to spend $1,000 on a surfboard. It's a lot of money. You want to know for sure that what you're buying is the best thing for you. So you're not going to really compromise on anything else. So we really have to make certain that we're convincing people and proving that the surfboards, this is like a great product.
It's like
this is like good for you.
Yeah, it's like when you provide like a high-end service So say it's like when you go to, I don't know, on a flight or something like that, and there's like first class, it's obviously like as a higher option, like of pay, it's like you almost need to also provide a better service as well.
Yeah.
It's like almost trying to figure out that. It's like what type of person buys this board?
Yeah, totally. And we have been trying to, well, we are like at equivalent prices to like locally made surfboards, but you know, we're still more expensive than the stuff that's mass produced in Thailand and China. So yeah, I guess it just comes back to the, you know.
And when you look at like the sales side of it, if someone buys a board and has it for 10, 20 years, like there's only so many people that are going to buy surfboards, and if they all have a board and don't buy a board for another 10 years, like what is it that is going to make someone continue buying your product? Like, is it going to be different like shapes, designs that you guys put out, or do you think you'll constantly work to improve the product each year or every couple of years? Like what makes this business sustainable in the long term?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it, but I think there are just always lots of surfers out there. So right now we've only really focused on making a really good product, and then I guess keeping people coming back is just making sure that they like the product, and then they'll come back for another shape or another design, or you know, they might give their old board to a friend and buy a brand new one.
Yeah, okay. And does part of you, like you said, you haven't had one of the boards break, but does part of you almost desire like just a massive, like something that the customer can justify the board breaking on, which makes them want to buy a new one? Like a massive wave breaks it, they're like, understandable, anything's breaking under that, I want to buy a new one.
Yeah, of course that will happen, you know, because if there's like 5 tons of water,
no doubt it's going to break.
It's going to break, but yeah, it's still yet to see it, and you know, I think people are pretty careful these days with what they put their boards into in terms of like what positions in the waves.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And did you guys do, like, how do you test what a board's breaking capacity is? Or do you guys even test that?
Yeah, well, so we went down to this researcher who's in Wollongong, and he has this lab called the SurfFlex lab, and we hooked our boards up to his machines, and we got to look at how they reacted compared to regular boards, and there was a lot more resistance offered by our surfboard than other surfboards, which, you know, we haven't actually looked at the data yet or the footage, but it seems like they're like several times stronger. So, but it is, you know, I was hoping for him to actually do a 3-point bending test and to actually fully snap the surfboard as a means of comparison to, you know, actually fully snapping another foam and fiberglass surfboard. But it didn't seem like it was a test that he did very often, so I don't think that we'll get like a solid number around exactly how strong it is. But I'd say at least 5 times stronger.
Because clearly for you, marketing-wise, that is a massive part of the board, like its strength compared to other boards. So to have that figure or have that number would be just so ideal.
Yeah, definitely. And we might do it one day. We might just, you know, jump, like stand on top of the board, like.
Yeah, because that's another thing as well. Like you see, even with iPhone cases, like it might not be, not with iPhone cases, or like, I don't know, some product, it's like, oh, a car tire can drive over it. It's not like the scientific number that you're looking for.
Yeah.
But if you're like 10 guys can stand on this, it's like that might be a number that people like.
Yeah, maybe that's something you could do. That's actually a really great idea because it's also entertainment as well. So it like circulates more because it's like people are like, oh, what the hell? Yeah. There's an elephant on their surfboard. Like shit like that. Like it's just like some wacky thing like that.
We have put them upside down on the pavement and stood on them before.
Yeah.
So
You jumped or just stood?
Done a little bit of bouncing, but didn't want to.
I'd be like, fuck, yeah, well, yeah, just like, no. Yeah. It'd have to be one of your shit boards. Like one of the ones that was like butchered in the production. Just like, yeah.
And when it came to the name, is it Sine Surf?
Yeah.
Where does that originate from?
It's just the sine wave, the mathematics sine wave, you know.
Nah, we are dumb as shit.
Yeah.
Oh, do you mean sine as in like S-I-N?
S-I-N, yeah, brackets X, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So like it's the function that like it dictates a lot, like, you know, like photons in physics, and like but it also like dictates the way energy moves through space essentially. So wave energy moves through the water.
Okay.
And you know, the peaks and the troughs and the period and the
yeah.
So it's like, what's speaking about a journey? Like, is that what you're saying, or like you're speaking to 2 dummies right now? Yeah, so yeah.
I dropped out of school.
Yeah.
It's just the the mathematical way to describe a wave. So I don't think I
okay.
don't think I thought too much about it.
Because it stems from your roots. Like
Yeah. Well, I was doing a subject at uni, like geophysics of the oceans, and we were looking at that function a lot, and the way waves move and how they break and how they behave and stuff. So I guess just like chose it for like that, and it rhymes, Sine Surf. So.
Yeah, like the two S's. Yeah, for sure.
So, like you sort of briefly like touched on the journey, like when the idea was planted in your mind and then just moving into it. Like, what was the difference between having the idea and then saying, I'm going to do something about it? Like, when did that leap occur? Was it a conversation
I remember
you had?
I was in a car with my girlfriend at the time, and I was just talking about it with her and thinking about it, and then I just said, okay, I'm going to try it. And then kind of just went from there, yeah.
Holy shit. So you just went, yeah, that's it, I'm in.
Yeah.
And what gave you the confidence to think that you could do this?
I guess no one said otherwise. And I don't know.
That's a big thing. Yeah, like no one's saying that you couldn't do it. I feel like it'd be weird if you didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it's like, if everyone's telling you yes, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, I think the fact that I was able to like consistently surf on my creations like was like a small rewards as I kept on going. And
Yeah, it does seem like a bit of a blend of all your worlds.
Yeah.
Like as in like you were doing the engineering stuff and then you got into surfing. And it's kind of like it all,
in between.
like all coming together.
So do you think if you had anyone like express their disbelief in you, that you would have still given this a shot?
Yeah, I think I still would have. Yeah, unless it was somebody like very close to me. You know?
Like family members or something?
Yeah, somebody whose opinion I really respected.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
But no, don't quit very easily.
Yeah. So the confidence you had in yourself really stemmed from your environment, but before you told them about it, were you confident in yourself? Or do you think you needed their validation? And
no, I don't think I needed it, but it certainly helped. Yeah. And I think it would be very hard to start a business, especially one like this, if you didn't have like people around you that were helping you. So,
yeah, definitely. Because from what you're saying, like your uncle's a designer, like there's so many moving pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like, make a surfboard. Like, I can't imagine what the steps were to get this.
Yeah, a lot of
like
it's
the first prototype.
like very, oh wow, how did that happen? You know, because like we entered a competition, ended up winning like $40,000, which really helped it.
Holy shit.
Go along, and then my co-founder sold router bits to a guy who is currently letting us stay in his warehouse like a really low rent, you know. So it's just like all these things, like it's kind of like luck, but also, you know, you make your own luck and you find your opportunities. So, yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. No, that is cool to see it all come together. Like it glues like over time. That's really awesome. What if you weren't doing this, what do you think you'd be doing?
So there's another startup that I'm founding at the same time.
Oh.
So I'd probably be still working at that, but I'd probably be doing some other business.
So what's the startup?
The other one's like we're developing a paint that cools passively in the daytime, so it keeps roofs cool and saves on air conditioning and stuff.
Whoa.
Okay.
It's like a nano.
You can dive into that
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Well,
Where did that start from?
So I actually like contacted one of my lecturers at the time because I was looking for coatings, looking at like maybe researching some coatings for surfboards, and because she's like a surface scientist specialist or something, and then we were just talking, and then we kept in contact, and she was kind of saying that I should start a master's with her, and eventually didn't end up doing the master's, but ended up like just working for her as an engineer on this like project. And then it eventually like just evolved, and now it's a startup, and it's got like, you know, like more than $1 million in funding. So
Wow.
Yeah.
wait, and this is all yours?
So technically I'm a founder, but I came in very late, and a very, very small fraction of it is mine.
Yeah.
But
And this is like, when you look at the grand scheme, this is your side thing? Or would you say that's the primary focus? Would you say it's 50-50?
Good question.
yeah, probably like 50-50 or like 40% and then 60% of surfboards.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think that purely comes down to you're more passionate about the surfing than the paint?
Yeah, I think so. Also, just knowing that it's my own,
Yeah.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and think it's like, yes, like I don't know how you set it up, but if you've got your co-founder, so it's like 50-50, it's like it's your baby.
Yeah.
As in like you birth the idea and stuff. It's like comes from you. Cool. What sort of advice would you give to someone in the same boat as you? As in like they're studying or whatnot and they want to start a business. Like how, like obviously you've had your journey from there to like where you are now.
Yeah.
What would you sort of like? What would you suggest to someone?
Yeah, so there's some businesses that are a lot easier to start than other businesses. So you should probably look at how easy or difficult the business that you want to start is going to be. If you're like lacking motivation, you probably shouldn't start because you're going to need a lot of motivation the whole way through. So, yeah, if you've got motivation and you think you can do it, then you just like start with small steps and then keep going, I guess.
What advice would you give to someone who just can't start? Like they've got all the ideas.
They got all the ideas.
Just can't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I don't know, just start with the first step, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small steps.
And what's been the secret to your success? Like why are you where you are?
I wouldn't say very successful yet, but
Yeah, but like success in the terms of you've committed your life to this, like this is what you do with yourself, and you've made a product which you really believe in and your customers believe in.
Yeah, a lot of people don't get to that point, regardless of like, okay, I've had my own business for 10 years. So I feel like people don't get to the point where they've got something sturdy. Like it's just like, oh, there's something to the name of this business. And like regardless of if it's like success, whatever you deem that to be, it's just like, it's almost like, yeah, how did you get to the point where you've actually created something?
Yeah.
And like gone through processes at least, like you followed a pathway and committed to it.
Yeah. I think just like dedication and like help from people around you and don't be afraid to get other people involved who have really good skills, good complementary skills, and you just got to keep at it because you think it might take 1 year and then it takes 3.
Yeah.
It's another big thing as well. I think it's just the time, like being comfortable.
Oh, yeah, the time.
A lot of people aren't because they just want the outcome rather than the actual journey it will take you to get to the outcome, and then you forget that it's like, oh no, buddy, like your plan could be a year or 2 years, but it could be 8.
Yeah.
So are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then it's also knowing it's not just doing the task of like creating a surfboard. Like you need to learn video editing.
Yeah.
You need to learn marketing, sales. Like having your own business is covering everything.
Yeah.
And you'll bring people on when you have the funding for that. But in the meantime, like you're the guy doing it all.
Yeah, the product, the website, the socials, the patent, the founding, like making an actual company.
Yeah. Has any part of that process, have you found anything you actually really enjoy that you didn't think you would?
Nothing that I enjoy like significantly more than everything else, but I think that I'll really enjoy going on some tax deductible surf trips in the future.
Yeah.
Being able to test the board.
Test the boards.
Yeah, where would you like to go? Where's on the list?
Like Mentawai, Indonesia, or I don't know, somewhere pretty close to home, but just has exceptional waves.
Where have you been to surf? Like, where's the best place you've surfed?
I've only been doing it for like 4 years now. So
good point.
I surfed a bit in Hawaii and Bali.
Wow.
And not too many places, but in the future I definitely will be.
So you feel like you haven't found your favourite yet, is what you're saying?
Nah, definitely not.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Have you seen the surf film Kamchatka?
I haven't, no.
Have you heard of it?
Right.
So some local guys from Avalon made a film called Kamchatka. It's in Russia on the east coast.
Like the place.
place.
On the east coast of Russia.
Yeah, so they went there
Very often.
in winter. They went there in winter and surfed. It was like snow. The beach is just snow,
Bro, it's the coolest thing ever.
and the water's 1 degree, and they're out there surfing
Wow.
this wave that's never been surfed, and it's a really cool documentary.
And like for us who like we don't surf or anything, like yes, we've grown up on the beaches, we're at the beach all the time, whatnot, but like we don't surf. And like to even just see it was just like, we could really appreciate it. Like
Yeah.
clearly they did a good job of being like, clearly this doesn't happen that often.
Yeah.
And like there's like, it's so cool because there's like this one guy who like basically has invented surfing in Russia because like no one knows what it is.
Yeah.
And like he's like this one dude, just nutter, so funny. But like he is like the catalyst for this whole thing because they found him in some research and like
Oh,
linked
really?
up with him and went over there.
Like,
And he's there the whole time, like
Yeah.
throughout like the doco. It's the coolest thing. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool that, I don't know, you're just doing something that's a bit different.
Yeah. What's the almost like the hardest thing, the thing that maybe surprised you along the way, or that's been the hardest thing?
Yeah, I was a bit oblivious to like actually how hard manufacturing in Australia was. 'Cause,
Okay.
Like the business model for a lot of Australians that want to sell a product is like get somebody else to manufacture it who's in China or something, and then like either they store the product and distribute it, or they just like straight up drop ship it. So, but actually like like having a place where you actually manufacture the board, you have to deal with all the materials coming in and product control and all this sort of stuff. So I think it just makes it like 10 times harder having to actually make the thing yourself,
Yeah, that's true. Do you have any staff on board? Like,
So it's still just the two of us.
Yeah.
And we could probably handle 5 boards a week, just the two of us.
Yeah.
So,
so you guys are on the tools, like obviously, like you
Yeah,
guys are
on
making
the
these
tools.
boards.
And are you both doing the same role, like in terms of when you're working?
Do something from start to finish.
no, so we're doing different roles. So my co-founder, he takes care of the like machining and gluing, and then I take care of like the second half of the process, which is like finishing and fiberglass.
Okay.
And,
And how long does the gluing take to dry?
2.5 hours.
Wow.
Oh, I think you said like 2 weeks.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So start to finish, we could have a board done in probably 2 days if we were like really rushing.
Wow.
Oh, I thought it was going to be way more than that.
Yeah. So we're using like UV cure resin, so you can just put it in a UV box and it like goes rock hard in 5 minutes and stuff like that. So,
Wow. And does that affect it at all? Like, is it
um,
better to not cure it that way for any reason, or is it better to do it that way?
No, not really. No, probably better. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So that the CNC machine, is that what you mentioned
Yeah,
before?
CNC.
Like, do you have one of those?
Yeah, we got a couple.
How much did that puppy set you back?
So we
Big
imported
amount.
them from China.
Yeah, yeah.
So China is like 10% of the price of in Australia, and it was like both machines like 30,000 or something.
Yeah.
So if you bought it here, you're telling me that's like $300,000.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, or like
Wow.
200 or something.
Is that including like everything? Because I'm assuming there's obviously software. Like, do you just do that on like a laptop or something, and then you just throw it in the machine?
Yeah, you have like controllers that control the machines and
Okay.
stuff. And the Chinese, like they often don't give the best controllers to
Yeah.
to like English-speaking people. So sometimes you have to like install your own controllers, and some
Yeah.
machines have different capabilities, like a tool changer or a vacuum bed and stuff. So, yeah.
And then
Sick.
when it's like doing the research to buy this machine, how in depth are you going?
So that's all
Your
the guy I work
co-founder,
with,
yeah.
because he's like built CNC machines himself. So
Oh, wow.
What?
he knows a lot about them. So
Could have just built one himself.
yeah, well he did. That's what we started on, and then
Wow.
we eventually got like the bigger machine.
Holy shit! So he's like just builds them for fun, like just 'cause
Yeah,
you can.
basically, yeah, like 3D printers, yeah, everything.
What a weapon!
So without him, would you be doing this?
Um,
Like, do you think you find another version of him, or no?
I don't think there's anyone else like him, but
That's cool.
but yeah, it certainly would have been a lot harder, like much harder without him, and yeah, not sure what would have happened.
I think that speaks to it being a really solid relationship, being like there's no one else kind of like him.
Yeah.
It does sound cliche, but like if it's true, you know what I mean? Like he's just a special mix of circumstances that
Yeah.
brings about a certain person.
Incredible.
Yeah. How's your guys' relationship? Like, how does that? Like, is it
It's great. Yeah.
functional, business related?
Yeah, it's just like very functional, and like we like doing what we do, and like what we do separately, and then we work very well together.
That's
And,
cool.
So you'd say like your mates outside of business.
oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And how do you guys go separating that?
Separating business and
Yeah.
I don't know, just try not to talk about work when we're like,
Hang
I don't
on.
know, on the road or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, awesome.
And what does he do? Is he fully in Sine Surf, or does he have other stuff he does?
So he's the same as me. So we do 4 days on Sine Surf and then 3 days on like our other job. And so I do the uni job, and he does like he helps out at a school, Barker College. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
As a,
So you guys are 7 days a week?
yeah, but sometimes we take like half a day every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what does your spare time look like?
You just take spare time when you need it. You know, like if your friends are doing something, then you take time off to go.
Yeah,
see
okay.
friends, yeah.
And hobby, is it just surfing for you?
Yeah, like surfing, football,
Mhm.
like seeing friends, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And do you have any other friends in the entrepreneurial space?
I have some old friends. Yeah, I have a good friend who's in London who's doing a startup, and then I have an old friend who I haven't seen in a long time in Sydney who's doing a startup, but not other people.
And was the guy in London, obviously you said you haven't spoken to the Sydney-based one recently, but was the guy in London like of any aid during this process? Or?
No, I don't think so. Like it's like the distance kind of it's hard to like.
It limits you a bit.
Yeah, it limits you a bit. But I don't know. Like last year in July, we were both in Italy, like drinking some, so some drinks in Rome. So we just like chatted about the journey, and like we're just like, oh, I had to struggle with that too. You know?
Yeah.
So sick.
Yeah.
Is that like both on holiday?
Yeah, both on holiday.
That's cool.
Yeah. Aperol spritz. That's what I was thinking of. We drank lots of Aperol spritz.
Yeah, that's interesting because I often find a lot of entrepreneurs will usually surround themselves with like-minded people that are also like building startups, so they can relate, as you said, that you had with your friend in Italy. So it's interesting that you don't really have that.
Yeah.
That you've sort of just been doing
Some
it.
people have like incubators, right, where they talk to it. And we did go through an incubator at like very, very early on, which was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like actually seeing what people are trying to start up, and then like having your own opinion on it. And
Yeah, it is cool, and like
it'll work or not work.
and they probably like, and they have the same shit about you.
Yeah.
Like they're thinking the same thing about you.
Sure.
Yeah, which because it's like in your head, it's kind of like, yeah, my idea trumps everyone's, but that's just only because it's your idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like someone could actually, well, I guess it's hard to measure objectively, but like they could objectively have a better idea than you, but you just don't think it.
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting sort of dance that you do with people who are doing their own startup or whatnot.
Totally.
Yeah, and because you could also like, there is something to having faith. So like if they don't have that faith, they could completely not see it for how you see it almost like, but you having that faith, like it's unique. Well, actually no, you were obviously in a similar boat because you have a co-founder, but having someone else who has stock in what you're doing, I think that really helps because you're able to just bounce off each other.
There's so much confidence knowing, oh, somebody else believes in this
it's like,
other than me.
yeah, exactly.
Believes in it to the point where they're willing to dedicate 4 days of their life to it.
Yeah, and they know like all the ins and outs of how everything is going. Yeah.
So like, I don't know, you've probably never thought about this, but like say tragedy happens tomorrow, like your partner gets hit by a truck, gone. Like obviously there's a whole process with that, but like just, do you think you continue? Like are you
Yeah,
so
for sure.
invested in it that you're like, you want it so bad?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this the other day because I almost got hit by a bus.
oh, that's so
And
funny.
I was like, yeah, I think he'd continue.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny that actually happened.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important to think about because so many people will never think about that, and like unfortunately tragedies happen and then they're just like, oh, I can't do it without that person. But you got to get comfortable with the idea of this person adds great value now and I hope they stick around, but if they weren't here, like, do I have the capacity within me to keep going?
Yeah.
Where'd you nearly get hit by a bus?
I was like walking down like a street, the street after Oxford Street on Mardi Gras, and there was like a driver who, it was like a parked bus, like across the lanes, and I don't know, he must have like been on drugs or fallen asleep or something, and he just slammed the accelerators and like slammed into the wall beside the
Oh, he
car.
crashed?
Yeah, like 10 meters in front of where we were walking towards.
Also, like you had no part in like the fact that you survived. It was just like there was a wall.
No, it happened too quickly for us to have even reacted.
Shit, that's even scarier because it's not like you're like,
Stepped
oh, I'm
out on
crossing
the
the road and like I stepped back. Oh, lucky I saw it. It's like, no, it didn't mean shit.
Walking down the footpath, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Damn.
Crazy how that is.
Yeah, and like the thought of the partner thought, I can't get over that. It's so funny you asked that and it actually happened.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you've probably never thought of this. It's like, no, it actually, I nearly died. Yeah. Like, did you think about that instantly? Like, you like, holy shit. what happens if I get hit by that bus? And then you thinking about that, or?
I was walking down the street with my sister, so I was kind of like, just felt a bit sick, you know. Like, it's like literally nothing you could have done, right? If we had like not been talking and been walking 2% faster, it would have been in the path of the bus. But
Jeez.
How does that change your perspective on day-to-day living? Like, does that do anything for you? Does it make you more grateful for the little things? Does it make you think, man, why am I letting these limiting beliefs hold me back from doing what I truly want to do and stuff like that?
I think it's just like I don't think about it like much now, but you know, like the night of and the day after, I was thinking about it a lot, and I was like, wow, you can just die just like that, you know.
Life's so precious. Yeah, I think it's just that life means so much to us, so that when it's threatened, you're just like, wait, you can just goes like that. Yeah, it's crazy because we just attach so much meaning and purpose to it. It's like, oh no, life can't be that fragile. It is. Like,
you just got this vision that you'll live till you're 80, and
yeah, we all talk about it, live till we're old age, but it's not reality. Like, for sure, you can get hit.
Yeah, and the boards look so sick. Like the photos you have on your Instagram and stuff look so cool. How much went into the actual? Obviously, there's the design for functionality and practicality, but then there's like the aesthetics. How hard was it to get the aesthetics looking really good?
Like thankfully it just kind of came with the way we made them, because the wood just makes it look good by itself, you know. Like
wood's just cool.
Yeah, you just need good resin that makes the wood pop, and then that's pretty much it. And so quite lucky that we don't have to worry about that in that regard. Yeah, be a lot to worry about that as well.
And like, would you be able to do any what is it, like burning engraving and stuff like that?
Yeah, so you can laser engrave the wood.
Yeah.
And we were doing that originally for the logos, but it takes a bit of time to load it onto the laser engraver, and the laser engravers, you know, you can't really fit surfboards inside laser engravers.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And you need like a 3-dimensional laser that moves up and down the contours of the board, because it has to stay like an inch away from the board at all times. So it gets very complicated. So.
Have you ever considered, again, you may not have thought of this, have you ever considered using another material other than wood?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Like, thought about loads of materials and what would work.
What type of things are you like floating around? What ideas? Because I couldn't think of anything else. I bet there's something obvious that I'm not thinking about, but...
Yeah, so the way we're making them is like very specific to wood, so we couldn't apply it to anything else.
Yeah, the same model, but
But I would love to invent a biodegradable foam someday.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess like if you're heading into the space of like, or at least promoting in a sense of the sustainability aspect, I'm sure connections down the line roll into that.
Have you seen one of your boards out in the wild? Like not that you've given out, but you've just been in the surf and someone was riding one of your boards.
Not like that, but I have seen like photographers just post photos of surfers with surfing outboard.
No
which
way.
has been pretty cool.
Well, yeah, what does that do for you?
That's just great. Like, wow, that's a pretty cool turn he was doing.
Yeah. But is it like, surely it's deeper than that of like, I built, like that board started as an idea in my mind.
Yeah.
Spoke to some people, made it happen, went through this process. Now that human being is riding a board that I made.
Yeah, feels good.
Like that just must be so empowering.
Yeah.
Just feel.
Or you're thinking, I can make him do that turn better on my next model. Like, or you've just been innovative, like just like, oh, I want to push it further.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we get into surfers that are just so good, they do things that you like never had pictured in your mind the board doing before.
Oh wow,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, they have these maneuvers that they do, and they just like, it just works with the board. So.
And do you find the surfers are quite receptive to just taking the board?
And just going on a surf with it?
Yeah, as in like you said, like you'll give it to like really good surfers to do stuff with. Like are the surfers pretty like, oh yeah, I'll ride this board?
How do they receive it?
Yeah, usually everyone's pretty keen to surf them.
What type of, like how do you, we did say, you kind of did answer this earlier, but like you guys and friends and like, is there anyone else outside of that, or like that you've given the boards to?
So we've had like lots of some advice from some like really key shapers, like surfboard shapers, and they have their team riders, and then sometimes, you know, their team riders like might want to take one out and stuff like that. Yeah.
So those guys actually do that stuff, like they test boards almost.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
What was like the biggest piece of critical advice you guys received early on?
Not too sure. Like, honestly didn't get that much critical feedback. like it would have been nice to actually get a bit more, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
whenever people saw them, they were like, "Oh, that's really cool," but like having somebody, I think having somebody who was like really deep into surfing, just telling us, you know, like product isn't here yet, but I can see that it would be here. You need to do this, this, and this. Like we didn't really get that, so we had to kind of figure that out on our own.
Which is annoying.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
initially, short-term people think it's just so much easier to have yes men telling you like, oh, this is great, this is great, this is great.
Yeah.
But like you've been through the process of hearing that and being like, it's
No, it's taken longer. Yeah, because it's like you can't lie about the quality of product. Either it's good or it's not.
Yeah.
It's like you just want to find the best direct route there, which is probably critical feedback.
Yeah. But some people also like when they see it, they think that that's it and that's what it's going to be. You know? So it's just like,
yeah, people don't see like the innovation behind it of like, this is the first.
yeah.
It's going to get better
Yeah,
and better
yeah.
and better.
So right now, like again, going back a little bit, like you said, you'd like got this model at the moment that you're like just happy with. Is that like where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay, and then are you guys trying to just like keep making that exact model? Like, is that where the foreseeable like?
Yeah.
6 to 12
So
months is?
it's not like a model. It's like an internal structure for the different models that and the internal structure
okay.
works in a way that we can make them really quickly and that it's really structurally strong.
Okay, and then by like you're saying there's an internal structure, and then you're making different shapes of board. Is that what you're saying? Okay, cool. Yeah, and do you have like set shapes, or do you like sort of meet with a buyer? Like if someone wants one, do you like decide what they want through them, or is it like we have A, B, and C, A, B, C, D option, pick one?
Yeah, so it's a bit of both. So a big thing in surfing, especially if somebody's paying like a high price for surfboards, is like they want a custom surfboard. So they say like, oh, I'm a bit bigger. I would like a bit more volume and that sort of thing, and then you can kind of like modify the shape for them. So we're trying to do a bit of both because it is faster to make like all of the same shape because you've got the file ready to go.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can just like
Rinse and repeat.
rinse and repeat. But then every time we have to make a custom board, we have to like modify the file in some way and redo all of the machining toolpaths and everything. So it gets a lot more complicated. But we don't want to like not offer that for people. So
Again, it comes with the like, as in if you're a higher price range, like people expect a service. Like for what you're saying, it's like if they spend money on a board, they want it to be custom. So it's the service thing that they're thinking about. Yeah, that's cool. You guys aren't anchored to like A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
You're actually willing to customize it.
we've just like been focusing lately on like really giving people no reason to say they don't want one. You know.
Oh, cool.
So just trying to like tick everything off. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
from-
interesting.
That's it.
Like you don't do this or you don't do that or like we do everything.
Yeah, we'll do everything. So yeah, complain about
And
it.
we'll take care of you. You know, if the board breaks, we'll like.
Yeah. So in terms of scaling the business, what is the next step for you? Is it getting another employee? Is it really like nailing down the sales and marketing side of things? Like what's your focus point at the moment?
Yeah, so definitely sales and marketing. So yeah, we just need to like we can grow organically now. We have everything set in place to just grow based on surfboard sales. So we just need to like get some like initial orders and then get to a certain number of boards per week and then we can just like keep growing and growing and growing.
And are you guys doing it off order at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when there's no orders, what are you guys doing on the business? Is it
So much. So
Yeah.
many things. Like I don't know, like this weekend like my partner's doing tax and I'm doing some videography to help the ads perform and all this sort of stuff. So there's like endless amount of things we could be doing.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, we're just trying to drive sales because everything's going to move a lot quicker and going to be a lot more like easier with sales because we'll have a bit more.
Yeah, it's like you've been kind of messing with like the pillars that you want, and now you're just building more floors.
Yeah.
Like it's just like actually like stacking up. Yeah.
And in terms of sales, like is it much more like predominant in summer and leading up to summer? Because like I mean surfing's all year round, but I feel like more people probably get in the summer or not. I don't know.
I don't know. Like more,
The backtrack or not.
Yeah.
more boards break in winter because the surf's bigger.
Okay.
But then in summer, people might want a new board around Christmas or something. So I think it's all year round. Right now, we've had a huge slump in sales because just because I think mortgage rates are going up and people are like
Struggling a bit.
Yeah, buying power is down heavily.
Yeah.
Like people just don't want to buy.
Yeah.
And And especially like with a premium product like yours, like it's like made by you guys and everything.
Yeah.
It's like people are probably just not even thinking about it at the moment, which is unfortunate.
It is really a luxury item.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're getting into surfing, you're not buying like a wooden board probably.
Yeah.
It's like someone's just gonna buy some shitty surfboard. Yeah. Well, it links back to the biodegradable foam.
Yeah.
Like it's like maybe that's like if you're hitting different markets, like it's like you hit the newbies coming in with the foamies.
And do you just ride your boards now, or do you still ride like plastic fiberglass boards?
Yeah, probably like most of the time my boards, but then just to like get like still try the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's
It's like, do you believe in your product or not?
No, it's almost like riding those other boards allows you to feel like, oh, okay, like our board's performing better in this area and maybe not so in this area. Whereas if you're always on your board, it's like you just don't know.
You get a bit one-sided.
Yeah, you're like, my board's the best. Yeah. What sort of other boards are you riding? Like when you're not riding the wooden board?
Just high performance short boards.
Okay.
Or just regular foam fishers and stuff. Yeah.
And why would you make the choice to not ride one of yours and ride theirs?
Like it depends on the surf conditions. If it's really, really, really big and I want to surf like a high performance short board, then I'll take that one out. Yeah.
And then another cool thing that might have happened. Have you been in the surf? Someone said, oh, that's a sick board. Where'd you get it? And you've been able to say, I made it?
Yeah, a few times, yeah.
What's that like?
Yeah, it's pretty good. You just like kind of wonder in your mind, like, oh, how long's this conversation going to go for? Because it's a bit weird to say that and then just be like, all right, see.
Yeah, because I can imagine us, like guys who just like, we're so curious, like clearly we're sitting here just asking you question after question, but it's like I would be like, what? Like I need to know more.
Yeah, some people do. And then you just like say, just like pointing towards the Instagram or something.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's sick. That's your marketing right there. You should buy one.
Yeah. Just go out surfing more.
Yeah. Yeah, hit the local scene. That's cool.
That's sick, man. We end every pod off with a challenge. So we get our guests to give us a challenge that we will aim to complete during the week that the podcast is released. It can be anything. We want it to come from you. It could be something we spoke about. It could be something you find is helping you at the moment, whether it's like some sort of practice or something. But yeah,
well,
take your
you guys
time.
should go surfing.
Oh shit, dude, that's the fucking second time someone's challenged us to do that.
Second time, and hasn't happened.
What's
worse is I have a board as well.
Oh yeah. There you go.
We have, and we have no excuse. Like we have mates who love surf. Like of course we have mates who love surf. Yeah, we have access to boards. And literally 2 days ago, one of them was like, you should surf. I like presented him with a problem, and then he was like, surfing could fix that. Yeah. And I was like, and now you've said this.
What was the problem?
Yeah.
Oh no, it was just like we just do this thing, like it's an accountability group type thing, and I was just talking about patience being something I want to adopt a lot more, and like what practices do you guys use to practice patience? Yeah. And then
surfing's great for that. You sit out in the surf and you wait.
Yeah, and then just eat shit after eating shit, and like have a surf for 3 hours and just get nothing from it, and then just like that patience. Yeah. So yeah, that's what he was talking about with that. Dude, look, you've solidified that we now need to go surfing.
Where do you go mostly?
Freshwater, Manly.
Okay.
One of those two, yeah.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, cool.
Mad. Yeah, no, I'd be keen.
Yeah, definitely. We have to.
And I enjoy it. I'm still like very much learning.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's the kind of thing that gets more enjoyable as you get better.
Yeah, I feel like I would never not enjoy that. Like I love the water, I love the beach. Like grew up in the beach like every weekend. But I think it's just more like I don't think afraid's the right word, but more like just wary of the fact that like surfing's like a commitment. Yeah. Like it's like you got to commit, and I'm like I have got
like I know I'm not going to commit to learning surfing, but
I respect it, like based off like people like yourself, just like you just love surfing. It's like I respect it enough to be like, oh, I'm just not going to dive in, because I'm like I'm not going to half-ass this shit and then be like surfing sucks. It's like no, I suck. You know what I mean? Like it's like you got to give it what it deserves. So like, but dude, we're gonna go out surfing. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Good to film. Keen to see me. Oh. Yeah.
No, that'll be fun. Yeah, dude, thank you heaps for coming on.
It's guys, thanks for having me.
It was super interesting, just sort of hearing like the inception and the whole process you've been through to like where you are now. And I think the biggest thing I sort of took from the conversation was how like you had no reason not to try. Everyone around you was telling you it was a great idea. You believed in yourself, and you had people around you that like were going to help you, like your uncle, your co-founder. It made so much sense for you to do this. Whereas so many other businesses, it's like the opposite, where it's like, this won't work, this is going to fail, don't do this. And it's like, no, I'm going to do it. And then they do it. But for you, it seemed like such a healthy environment to do this.
Yeah, super healthy.
Which is, I think it's quite
It also begs the question, how many other people are in your scenario where everyone, like it all points to yes, but don't actually go through with it, and why? That's what's making me think.
Yeah.
Because you're not the only person who's had all this, like, just to have stars align. There's like, what other people just go, oh, everything makes sense, but I'm too worried, or...
It's definitely easier to say no, you know, 'cause you can just get a job and you can clock off as soon as the job stops.
And you can not care about it, but you finish physical work, but you're mentally still there.
Yeah.
Like you stop making the board, you go home, you're still thinking about, oh, how can I be better?
Yeah.
How can I grow the business?
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
being an entrepreneur demands, it's a lifestyle for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, dude, appreciate your time.
Thank
Yeah.
you so
Yeah,
much.
thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cheers.
Awesome. Wrap it.
Ladies.